Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Right now, it's time to discuss the Osun local elections. And the former APC National Secretary, Senator Iola Omisore, has criticized Osun State Governor Adeleke for allegedly conducting illegal local government elections. He accused the governor of violating court rulings and staging a fraudulent process to fill non-existent vacancies. Omisore claimed the elections disregarded a Court of Appeals ruling that reinstated the previous council chairman and councillors. He alleged that Adeleke's real motive was to control and misuse council funds, labeling the exercise a show of shame. Warning of possible unrest, Omisore stated that Adeleke's action could trigger a state of emergency in Osun. He condemned the governor for disobeying court orders and wasting state resources, calling the election a shameless charade. Joining us this morning is Comrade ADEBAYO, the national spokesperson at C.U.P.P, just to discuss this. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
Alrighty. So let's look at what happened in Osun State on Saturday, whereby, of course, there was a local government election that was being held by the state's governor, Adeleke. Even though it's been said that, a court has ruled against it, those vacancies, they were already filled. But I want to get your own thoughts on it. The fact that the governor was still able to conduct his elections regardless of whatever the court ruling was.
Well, thank you so much. You see, I agree with the former deputy governor of Osun State, and who was also national secretary of APC, Chief Omisore, only to the extent that court orders, court rulings, court judgments must be respected and obeyed in this country. I agree with him 100% on that. But when you hear politicians talking, especially when there is not their party in power, either at federal or state level, talking and suggesting state of emergency and saying that I'm already projecting the breakdown of law and order and this and that, there is something underneath. There's something coming. I think there's an orchestrated plan to desperately declare a state of emergency in Osun State. What they have failed to achieve in Rivers State is what they are trying to achieve in Osun State, through the back door to declare a state of emergency. For now, nothing warrants that. The people of Osun State have remained calm. The people of Osun State went out on Saturday to cast their vote for their preferred candidates and the rest of that. What we need to do is that whatsoever is the disagreement, whatsoever is the contention, we should allow the courts to determine what happens in Osun State. We should not orchestrate violence. Nobody should be calling for breakdown of law and order. Nobody should be calling for a state of emergency, because that is when you are now going to create an avenue for a breakdown of law and order. And that is why I've discovered of recent that this country, honestly, in our politics, in our elections, in our governance, in our administration, in the way our way of thinking, our attitude and everything, we need to begin to fashion a new direction for this country. There must be a new direction. Until when we have a new direction, until when we have a movement towards the new direction, we will continue to have this type of situation that will create unnecessary tension among us, unnecessary, we have a lot of things to deal with, rather than paying politics, atrocious politics, politics of enmity, politics of violence, politics of murder, arson. We should move away from that. That's why we need a new direction in this country. From federal to local government level, to the world level, there must be a new direction. And I think the only thing that every Nigerian must be in or out of power should be working towards now is to fashion a new direction for this country. We need to find a new direction for this country, a new path for this country, a new direction towards development, towards justice, towards equity, towards security, and general peace for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Enough of all these atrocious politics. These people, when you make inflammatory statements like this, what you do is that you are heating up the politics. There's no point saying that if there's a breakdown of law and order, meaning that Probably some people are orchestrating violence somewhere, and when it happens, they say they blame it on the governor. Whether the election was conducted legally or illegally, let the courts now determine that. Let the courts determine what happens to that election. We have seen elections in this country overturned, overruled. Governorship elections, senatorial and National Assembly elections, any election. The court has the capacity and the authority and the legal instrument to confirm or throw away an election of an individual or even order the election, as the case may be. So whatsoever we do, let's not talk about violence. Let's not talk about breakdown of law and order. Don't let us go towards this idea of a state of emergency. Let's stay on course towards peace and unity of the people. So if there are disagreements, let's go to court and let the court determine. And once the court has made a pronouncement, it behoves on all parties involved to obey and adhere to the letter and spirit of the court judgment.
All right.
Our politicians should stop behaving like motor garage touts. They should stop behaving like motor garage touts. Our politicians must stop behaving as if they are costists. They must stop behaving. You can't just be going around saying the name of politics, the name of power, you are now constituting violence. And if there's violence, nobody is safe. You must say things that can, encourage peace. You must say things that can encourage harmony. You must say things that can encourage unity. Not going about just opening their mouth and saying things that will continue to create chaos and crisis in the land. We have enough problems in this country. These politicians must think before they talk. They must think before they talk.
All right, thank you for that. I mean, I hear what you're saying. Do not instigate violence. And, saying things like this, obviously, you start to heat up people and they say, oh, yes, we can be violent about it because we do not agree with it. But harmony is something that we should definitely be preaching. But I want to ask this question. So yesterday, Governor Adeleke obviously was addressing the newly elected, local government chairmen and councillors. And one thing he said during that meeting was they should avoid the secretariat, avoid the people who are already occupying those offices, to ensure that there is no clashes between them and all of that. And he insisted that, he was following the rule of law and the Constitution by creating or by ensuring that this election was being conducted. But with that being said, these people should not go to the secretariat till the judiciary sorts everything out. But it's the same judiciary that obviously gave a court ruling, right? So make it make sense to me. Do you think that election should have been conducted in the first place, knowing fully well that even the people that have been elected right now cannot assume office immediately?
Yeah. You see, it's part of the contradictions of our political processes. But also, I mean, if the governor knows that if these people should go to the office, it's going to create another series of mayhem and bloodshed, I think I give him kudos for that. Because another governor would have said, we have conducted an election, winners have emerged, people should go and assume office. And then that will go to create a very terrible situation. So it's it's funny how things turn out in this country. People who went and participated in an election cannot go to their offices. The people who are there now, certainly you don't expect the governor to even release any funding to them, except, if the federal government, being the APC government in power at the federal level, now decide to release funds directly to those local government people, the APC chairman who are occupying the local government secretariats now. Except that happens. If that doesn't happen, this governor will not, really, you don't expect him to release any funding to the local government where the chairman who have purportedly won an election, can't go to the. It's part of the contradictions in our body politic. It's quite unfortunate. The people who are there are not recognized by the governor. The people who have won the election cannot go to their secretariat. This is why we need to sit down in this country, have a serious thinking, and see how we can. I mean, is this not ridiculous? Mm-hmm. The people who are there now are the people who don't have the support of the state government. The people who have the support of the state government cannot occupy the office. So how do you now expect development at the local government level? How do you expect those local governments to begin to function? They won't function. They are rendered obtuse, they are rendered useless, they are rendered functionless. In fact, like, it means that in fact, local government administration is non-existent in Osun State as we speak. I mean, that is the interpretation. That is the meaning. That is what that means. It's quite unfortunate. And I think this new direction should be our mantra in this country today. New direction must be our mantra. New direction must be our sensibility. New direction must be our thinking. New direction should be our vision. Should be where we are looking at now. Because without a new direction, without a redirection of this country from the trajectory of its leadership tragedies, we will continue to have people who are only interested in power and not in the politics of development and the welfare and peace of the people. And these things should be about the people, should be about the country. But no, it seems there's some.
I love the fact that you just said. I love the fact that you just said it should be about the people and the country, right? Or in this case, the state of of Osun. So would you say that this whole conducting this election was definitely a governance decision, whereby it's for the people, it's about the people, or is it some deeper political move in this case? Because Omisore obviously has accused Governor Adeleke of trying to control the councils, the local government chairman as well.
Well, in my last interview on this platform, I did say that until we take away local government elections from state levels and create an independent national local government election commission, we still continue to have a situation whereby at every state is winner take all by the party in power, because it is the governor that will nominate the people that will conduct the elections. It is the governor that will release the funding for the commission. It is the governor. So, I mean, what do we expect? So there cannot be a level playing field. We know that at the national level too, which is also anomalous, is that the president nominates the chairman of the commission and all the national commissioners, which is anomalous, which is not really good for our body policy. It doesn't speak for equity. Because he who pays the papa dictates the tune. So we need to find a way to ensure that the executive arm of government that is elected by the people, we should not be the one to determine who the umpire should be in an election. Which how do you allow a team? For instance, how do you allow Liverpool to appoint a referee in a match between it and Man U or Man City? I mean, definitely, if I appoint you as my referee, I mean, you have to do my bidding. So it is anomalous for us to have the president appointing the chairman of INEC. It is anomalous for us to allow state governors to conduct local government election. We definitely, they will want their party to win. All true, it's going to be winners take all. That is it. So, well, whether the election should have taken place or not, I think we should allow the courts to determine that. But my own point is that we must not allow this one to degenerate again into unnecessary chaos and bloodshed. Because if that happens, both parties will have to bear collective responsibility for the lives of the people and for the properties destroyed. That should not happen. No, that should not happen. Nobody should be talking about, even assuming or even envisaging or even prophesying violence and bloodshed, breakdown of law and order in Osun State or any part of this country. It is part of our constitution that requires immediate amendment, that whereas the states are supposed to be in control of their local government, but when it comes to election, there must be an independent national body to manage that election, so that at least to give it a modicum of independence, to give it a modicum of good result, of acceptable result, of the true reflection of the people's will at the polls. If that happens, we are not saying it's going to be perfect, but it's going to be much better. It's going to be minimum of like 70 to 80% better than what we are having now. Where we now take so in all the states where the governors are presiding. So there's an urgent need for that to be fixed. There's an urgent need for that to be settled constitutionally. And until our politicians learn to play by the rules, by the rules of law, by the constitution, including legitimate court judgments, this is the kind of scenario we are going to be having. And I want to call on all parties involved, Governor Isiaka Adeleke. I want to call on the APC chieftains and I want to call on the people of Osun State generally that let the peace reign and allow the courts to determine what happens with regard to this election, and whatever the court says at this highest level, because I see this case probably going to the Supreme Court. So that's what everybody should wait for. That is what everybody should follow, and that is what everybody should obey. Whatever the court says should stand, and it must be made to stand in order to avoid. Laws are made for a purpose, for the purpose of peace, for the purpose of justice, for the purpose of equity. That is why you see the scales of justice must be balanced at every occasion that we are under litigation. And it is the politicians, these same politicians that are supposed to enforce the laws, and they are the number one in breaking the laws.
Breaking the laws,
right. Number one. So we should I hate this saying that laws are made by the strong to be obeyed by the weak and to be broken at will by the strong. No, we do not want to facilitate that kind of society. We want an egalitarian society where every voice matters, where every vote matters, and where every vote counts. You cannot have a society, we cannot run a nation, we cannot run a state, we cannot run a community of people like if we are still in the Obesian state of nature. That's one is unacceptable. And people must know, whatsoever you do today, you are making history. You are making history. What do you want to be remembered for? What do you want posterity to remember you for? Do you want posterity to remember you as a marshal of violence and bloodshed, and not for the peace and prosperity and the comfort of your people? Nigerian politicians, wake up and do something with the power that has been bestowed to you by the people of this country, by the wonderful people of this country. You have done too much. You have slapped us in the face, we are enduring. You have slapped us in the back, we are enduring. You have beaten us, you have congealed us, we are enduring. The economy is atrocious. The security situation is worthless. Everything is bad. Yet the people of this country, as resilient as we are, as patriotic as we are, we have maintained our decorum, our peace, and enduring the socio-economic atrocious situation. Don't add to our burden, because when you push a ship to the wall, it will turn against you. Please don't take. You have taken us for granted enough. Let's maintain the peace in the land. Use the power that has been given to you by God and the people of this country for the benefit and progress of this country and for the peace and development of the people of this country. We deserve no less. Nigerians deserve no less. We are appealing to you.
Very well said, sir. Thank you for that. So earlier on, you were speaking about the fact that you expect, the Electoral Commission to have some level of independence when it comes to the state and local levels. And because it's always seemed like it's the winner that takes all when it comes to the ruling party of that state, right? And of course, there was the talks about the financial autonomy of those local governments, right? So if we started the reform from there, financial autonomy, even though I don't know how that plays right now, or if people are really riding with it. But what are some things that you would definitely love to see? Because at the end of the day, the national body needs to talk about it. The federal government needs to intervene in things like this, because if something is supposed to go against the rule of law, we need to draw them back and say, no, this is what the Constitution says. If for instance, there's been a court ruling, you have to adhere to that court ruling, except there is, a higher one that has come to, say, yes, you can go ahead. So what are some interventions that you would love to see right now, especially when it comes to the electoral reforms in Nigeria?
Well, the beautiful thing about the OT, the beauty of the whole situation as it stands now in Osun State is the fact that the legal processes have not been exhausted. So the courts are still open. There's still room for legal resolution, judicial resolution of the crisis. So,
but don't you think that should have been exhausted first before even conducting an election?
I believe so too. I believe so.
Okay, please go ahead.
I think the status quo ante bellum should have been maintained until everything is sorted out before this happens, and especially when you cannot ambush the court. You cannot ambush the court. There have been mistakes on both sides of the divide. Honestly, I mean, remove politics, will remove sentiment. There have been errors on both sides. That's the issue. So, and then that's why the court remains the final arbiter in situations like this. And we must allow the court to function. We must allow the court to do its job and then deliver judgment. And then all of us must obey. Not every time that you are, court judgments don't have to please you. I mean, they will rule. The judges will deliver their rulings, their orders, their judgments on the basis of the facts before them. And the constitution has said that whatever, even if a drunk judge should deliver a judgment, you have to obey. You have to obey. He's sitting on that seat as an authority on behalf of this country. Even if he's drunk, even if he has taken colos, whatsoever he pronounces while sitting on that seat should be obeyed until it is vacated by a competent of superior authority. So that is it. Because are there to prevent violence, to prevent all of us taking laws into our hands, and we must obey that. We must respect that. Whatever position we occupy in the society, we must obey that. We must respect that. If we disrespect our cause, that will be crisis. I mean, we shouldn't disobey our cause. We shouldn't even the president must obey the cause.
Right.
He must.
So what steps can we take right now to resolve this crisis in Osun State? And because, of course, there's been a security challenge whereby, as of last week, we were even seeing reports that there was bloodshed. Some people were injured, some people were killed, and what have you. So how can we resolve this crisis? What steps should have been taken? And now that we're here, not putting the cart before the horse, what do we do?
Well, everybody should pursue the current cases in court with regard to the situation. I love the fact that the governor has said that the newly elected chairman should stay away from the secretariat for now.
Yeah.
So at least that one allow for peace. So there are cases in court. Let all the parties continue to pursue the cases in court to the highest level. And once there's a determination of that, that's a final examination of that case. That's what everybody should follow. That's what everybody. For now, let us maintain the peace. Let us maintain the status quo until the court decides otherwise. That's going to be my own contribution to this. For the courts, because there's no way these two people cannot sit down together and resolve anything. Nothing. Nobody can do that. I don't know. Except if Jesus comes to this world and say, "Oh, yeah, nobody can bring these two people together. They won't sit down and tell them. Let the court decide what happens in Osun State, and then everybody should obey that, must obey that."
So, looking at public perception, how can we ensure that things like this do not even happen in the first place? Because it's sad that people have lost their lives, sad that some people have been injured, but what do you think the president needs to do, or the federal government right now in intervening? What can we do to end? Because Osun State is the one that's in case in point right now, but I'm sure this probably could set a precedent whereby other states too can, and the governors can decide what they want to do regardless of the ruling, and say, you know what, I'm going to, conduct my own elections regardless of what the court has said. So how can we ensure that the rule of law in Nigeria is being upheld at all given times?
Well, you see, unfortunately, I don't see any rules for the president here, because you can't be trusted to be impartial. You can't be trusted to be impartial. So it is his own party that is blaming the victim now. So saying that they have been shortchanged and the rest of that. So I think we should only call on the security agencies to be alert and be alive to their responsibilities to make sure that they maintain the peace and the order in the state. I don't want the president to intervene, because the only intervention the president is now contemplating is declaring state of emergency, because he believes it is his party that is injured in this whole process. So we should not call on the president to do anything for us. The police especially should make sure they are alert, they are vigilant, and ensure that they maintain the law and order in the state. That is what we should be doing now.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on our show this morning. This is all we have to wrap it up on this segment. Comrade Mark, it's always a pleasure having you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Plus TV Africa. Thank you so much, Vio. Thank you so much, Rume.
Thank you.
I wish everybody a happy and wonderful week ahead. Thank you.
You too, sir. Thank you. All right, so I'm speaking with Comrade Mark ADEBAYO, is the national spokesperson, C.U.P.P. And we've just been looking at the fact that Omisore has slammed Governor Adeleke over Osun Council elections. We're going on a short break right now. When we return, we'll be discussing the fact that, well, inflation has seemed to drop, but then the prices and cost of living remains high. Please stay with us.